All right, folks. Gabe Donnelly here. It's Friday, March 22nd, 2024. I'm just continuing my YouTube video series, chronicling a situation that's still going. It's still very much in play. It's very scary. It's a life insurance scam / fraud, orchestrated by my mother, Lydia Donnelly, and the people that she's connected to, which I expanded on at length in the first 3 videos. Right now, we're moving on to what's happened is we're essentially started naming names. I started naming names and their roles and sort of connecting them to this horror that's going on. And that occurred basically at the end of part 2 and at the end of part 3. So we're going to continue doing that now. This one is really specifically for Roseburg Honda. Roseburg Honda is a name that is connected to this in some way. Probably at least through the salesperson who sold me my car. Her name is Alicia. And it could go further than that. So we'll just leave it up to Roseburg Honda to review this video and all pertinent videos, and they can get back to me on just how far it goes. So before we get into it here, again, people at Roseburg Honda are definitely going to need this. My name's Gabriel Donnelly. Donnelly, 2 N's and 2 L's. Donnelly. The YouTube information. Sorry, this is not that easy to do. YouTube information. My handle is at Gabe Donnelly 45. So that's again, Donnelly spelled Donnelly. It's all one word, at Gabe Donnelly 45. That's the YouTube channel, and you're going to need that information, to review the videos, accompanying videos. So, just as an example, like there's a 1 minute and 40-second video uploaded on that on my YouTube page, and so that 1 minute and 40-second video is of the problem, this sort of whatever you want to call it, electrical signaling that the car gives off, whenever these stingrays or the cell site simulators are in range. It does that. It's very, turn up the volume. It's very, very clear. It goes on for 1 minute and 40 seconds. I just happen to capture it then. But crucially, it's not the first time that I've caught it, or that's not the, I didn't just start noticing it then. It's been going on for a very, very long time. And so, yeah. Okay. Also, my cell phone number, contact information, 541-228-8082. Email kobayashilives@gmail.com. But yeah, for some reason you can't, bring up the pertinent video or having trouble with that, just contact me, text me, audio message me, whatever you want, and we'll make sure to get it straight. There are no excuses for not being able to see content or whatever. Is basically what's going on here. Okay, so getting to naming names. My handwriting's not awesome. I get it. So individuals with involvement in this horrifying life insurance fraud scam: Lydia Donnelly, Derek Lonk, Ira Herb, Jody Herb. I have addresses and phone numbers for these people. Curtis Dvorak, just a phone number for him, not a current address. And I can see it. There are more people involved in this more directly, but for the moment, I've got Alicia at Roseburg Honda as number 5. Salesperson of my 2021 Honda Accord. So, okay. What were the issues, or are the issues with my 2021 Honda Accord? Well, there are 2 of them. One of them involves a problem that is more widespread, apparently, and that is this thing involving the key fob, which is a security vulnerability in the key fob that is native to 2021 Honda Accords. It allows and other models as well. But it allows, my understanding from just reading about it on the news and all that, it allows people to mimic or duplicate, essentially to get in your car, all right? Even though you've locked it with the key fob. That's the long and short of it. People at Honda will know about it. Believe it or not, that is the least of my troubles, because the biggest problem, and I touch on this a little bit in the previous videos though. When I buy the car from Roseburg Honda in August of 2022, July or August of 2022, Alicia and her boyfriend drove down the car from Roseburg to where I was in Medford, and the problem that is chronicled on the minute and 40-second video that arrived with the car. Right? I don't do aftermarket work or anything like that. Yeah, I've only just brought it into Honda for Honda servicings and oil changes and all that kind of thing. So I'm just throw that out of the window for the moment. So what happens is that from that moment of buying the car, and then shortly after there, I drove to Boise. But basically, from that moment, that's when I was able to be tracked, or these people who are involved in this crap always had, whatever you want to call it, a step ahead of me is a gross understatement. They're always knew exactly where I'd be and exactly where I'd go, and I had I would turn my phone off at times, and it would still happen. And so what it turns out to be, spoiler alert, is these cell site simulators, they have a lot of functions, but they can track your cell phone. But if you turn your cell phone off, what happened is that my car is, and it's still like this, it is installed, or whatever mechanism is on the car gives off a signal when these cell site simulators / stingrays, whatever you want to call them, whenever they go by, whatever they're giving off that frequency, radio waves, whatever the appropriate term or phrase is, all right? I'm not saying I've got it 100% right on what that is, but people know what I'm talking about. That's what it does, and that's what you're listening to and seeing in the minute and 40-second video on my YouTube channel, all right? So there, in other words, that's the proof. That's what's happening consistently with the car, and has been since day one. And so wait until you hear what Alicia's behavior or lack thereof on this. It's long enough. So, okay, let's just start off with one thing I didn't mention in this second video, part 2, is when that nightmare is going on January 15th, where I'm trapped in there from the on the inside of my mobile home, where people are on the outside, and I'm calling 911 trying to get through, and I can't, and then I end up texting people. Alicia at Roseburg Honda is one of the people that I text frantically, asking, can you please call 911 for me? Believe me, when your life is on the line, it doesn't matter. If you can't get through to 911, you'll reach out to other people and say, hey, can you call 911 in my geographical area for me? So as it turns out, Alicia is the only person who gets back to me in that moment. I have no idea. Let's leave it at that. So she texts back right after I text her, address, what's my address? Which I immediately text back to her, my address in Las Vegas. And, she, in the subsequent text message conversation, she gives off the impression that she's, contacted emergency services and they're on their way type thing. But of course they don't show up. It never comes to fruition. And so there's all kinds of questions that Alicia should be able to answer, just off the top of my head. Take your pick. How about, explain what happened and what you did when Gabe Donnelly frantically contact you on January 15th, 2024, asking you to call 911. Okay, like, walk us through it. What happened? Did you call them? Did you contact them? Did you try? Even if the answer is, I tried and failed, well, then the next logical question would be, okay, well, why didn't you text back or communicate that to Gabe that, I tried this and it failed, so he knows not to count on that, or he knows, or he doesn't think, that, help is on the way via you, any number of those things. I mean, come on. Okay, so that's, so, I mean, like, did you indeed call 911? So yeah, what happened? Walk us through that. But here's where it gets really murky. Why didn't you follow up with Gabe at any time afterward? Like, keyword, any. Meaning, immediately thereafter? Like, if you contacted 911 and they're on the way, well, wouldn't you want to call or contact the person who needed the help to make sure they're okay? To make sure that, I mean, sorry if this all seems really obvious, but apparently it's not obvious to Alicia for any amount of time. Meaning she doesn't do that in the moment or any time that evening, not the next day, not the next morning, not the next day after that, or day after that, or day after that, or ever. Folks. And I was pretty graphic about what was happening too, about these people being around me and being like terrified. So she doesn't do any of that. Like anything. Are you okay? Are you still alive? Would be a good way to put it. There's a degree. There's a little bit of me that. Yeah, I shouldn't go too far in saying that, but I think basically, if you don't think someone's alive, or if you think that they're dead, yeah, you may just want to leave it alone, and maybe that's what she's doing. I don't know. Only she can answer those questions. Were those responsible for what occurred? Were they questioned? Would be something Alicia might want to know. Were they apprehended? What happened? Who was responsible for this? Did we determine? Like, there's a million different questions. How about, some or any questions related to making sure that whatever understanding you reached with 911 services was carried out? Yeah, help was on the way, like I said earlier. You'd want to make sure about that. You'd want to follow up from any angle. You'd want a person to know how much how much progress you made or didn't make, and where it stood, and all that. Period. So I get none of that from her. Think about that relative to how heavy the content was, how I really should have died miserably that night. So weeks pass by, and I continue to hear nothing from Alicia. Then, recently, on March 7th, 2024, so that's 15 days ago, I call Roseburg Honda. I brought this car into quote-unquote service at Safford Brown Honda, which is here in Northern Virginia. And it was it was a nightmare experience, like of none other. They grabbed onto my car and they wouldn't let it go. Like, basically they were stalling, and then the time was sort of running out during the day, and I just felt like it was, how do I even sum this up here? So at Safford Brown, I showed him that video, the 1:40 video. And it's also worth mentioning that it has nothing to do with my phone. I've tested out every possible thing on it, right? Like, I went through a period where I didn't even have a cell phone at all. Like, these people stole my cell phone, which is ironically, not even ironically, related to the whole key fob security vulnerability. They actually took it out of my car. But, so I didn't even have a cell phone at all. No cell phone, none connected or anything like that. And it still does that noise. I never connect my phone to that or the Honda Care or anything like that. It's nothing to do with the cell phone. Yes, I've reset the factory settings a million times on there, erased everything, you name it. So I tell this to Safford Brown, and I send him that that video, and I could tell that they're a little bit panicked about it. And she first, even though I repeated all the things I just said about not having a phone, she first tries to say, well, are you sure? It's probably related to your phone. I'm just thinking to myself, like, I just, in no uncertain terms, explicitly explained that it's nothing to do with the phone. I didn't even have a cell phone. And she goes on for a while saying, oh, it must be a cell phone. And so I, again, explicitly explain the situation. And only then does she say, well, okay, well, yeah, we're going to need to keep your car for a week. Really? Oh, yeah, well, I had a car who did this, a while back, and it turned out to be blah, 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 diagnostic, situation. And yeah, it turned out to be a real nightmare. And we're going to need to keep your car for a week to go over things. Did you notice that, folks? How the first line of defense was, oh, it's got to be your phone. Just some measure intended to confuse you or send you back sort of empty-handed. Not being able to point the finger clearly at the problem, right? That's the first line of defense. And the way I just summed it up right there is pretty damn good. Like, in other words, this is what people do when they know what the problem is, and they want to deflect it away. And so now Roseburg Honda is going to get the same opportunity. Okay, but meanwhile, back at Safford Brown on March 7th, I say, no, don't keep the car for a week, which is literally a death sentence. If you had seen any of my videos previous to this, you'd know that. I say, no, just the service, please. At that point, they already have my car, so there's nothing I can do. So this service is supposed to take, an hour and 20 minutes, she says. Like 3 hours goes by. I haven't heard from them. Another really scary incident takes place. I'm not even going to go into that right at the second, but it happens at Safford Brown. So what ultimately transpires is that's the reason why I call Roseburg Honda looking for Alicia on, the afternoon of March 7th. It would be the morning back in Roseburg. So I get the operator, I ask for Alicia. They immediately put me through. Alicia picks up. I give her a brief summation of the problem. Hey, I'm at Safford Brown in Northern Virginia. They're keeping my car. They're stalling. It's really frustrating. Would you please give them a call? She goes, Gabe, I'm going to put you on hold. Okay, fine. So she puts me on hold, and some amount of time goes by where it disconnects me. All right, fine. I mean, it happens. Notice, though, when I call Alicia, she hasn't answered any of those questions. She still has to answer any of the questions I stipulated or any variants of those. And so, disconnecting me on a phone call makes a lot of sense. Now, does she call me back after that? Again, wondering what happened. Hey, did you get your car back, Gabe? Or, hey, Gabe, yeah, I gave Safford Brown a call and asked about it. Or even, hey, Gabe, I wasn't able to call Safford Brown, or whatever. It's not my responsibility, but I still want to know if you're okay. Did you get your car back? Any of those. pretty obvious questions. No, none of it. Doesn't call me back. Ever. Doesn't call me back. Not that afternoon. Not that. You would think you I don't want to beat a dead horse here. So, all right. I then listen to this. Like, folks, hang on to your hats. On March 9th, so 2 days after that, I call Roseburg Honda again, and I ask for Alicia. The first time, the operator or the lady says, okay, yeah, no problem. Puts me through. I get a long, pause, and it disconnects me. It may have been, 40 seconds, but it disconnected me. Huh. So then I immediately call back. Hi, it's Gabe Donnelly. I just asking for Alicia. It put me through for a second, then it disconnected me. Oh, I'm sorry. Alicia, she doesn't work here anymore. She left the company. Oh, really? Huh. I go, really? So that's what I said. I go, that sounds very, how could that be? I just spoke to her 2 days ago. And the lady at the front desk, whoever I was talking to, stammered a bit. Because I said, are you telling me she's left the company like in the last couple days? Oh, yeah. They said, yeah. This is, whatever you want to call it, alarming, interesting, shocking, for a number of reasons. One of them, just off the top of my head, is, folks, these are serious enough questions, and this is as serious as it gets. Somebody just saying that they're leaving the company, that doesn't alleviate the problem. It's like, yeah, that thing people do with their hands when they're done with a work assignment. I'm all done. I'm not accountable for anything that happened or I said or didn't do like previously to this date. Like anything under the sun. I don't work there anymore, so I don't have to worry about it. It's like totally absurd. So another question is, okay, so if you leave the company, you're not gonna like, it still doesn't explain why you're not reaching out or calling back as to, these incidences are more, are pretty serious emergencies. But so the whole thing about leaving the company certainly just makes it sound like, oh, I just want to, I want to have an excuse, a permanent excuse not to answer extraordinarily difficult questions / obviously very revealing questions about what she's involved in and to what degree and for how long and who else is involved and all that. But see, by saying it, you left the company. And so like, even if it's true, right? And I want to make it clear, this is not a referendum on whether or not Alicia left the company or not. It doesn't actually matter. It really doesn't. They still have to answer for something of this serious. But even if she leaves the company, and even if, and I'm really putting it out there now, talk about benefit of the doubt, it turns out that she leaves the company because, people at Roseburg Honda or the powers that be are aware of her, what she's involved in. Okay, which would be like totally shocking. Like, why aren't they calling me? Why haven't they contacted me, Roseburg Honda, and apologized? I'm not looking for an apology per se. Spoken to me about how this has happened. Who's involved, what's being done to contain it, stop it, where the investigation stands now, and basically Roseburg Honda, whoever the owners or powers that be, they're either involved in this or they're not. And so if they're not, you think, my God, they'd be jumping up and down, screaming their heads off about what measures they're taking currently to that show that they're not involved in this and that they're not going to stand for any of this. So I haven't heard from Roseburg Honda. The person, the front desk lady, she was just real curt with me. Just basically, I said, well, okay, well, the issue that I have with my car, it's about a car, it's been an issue that is with my car that was sold to me by Alicia. And so the front desk person was like, well, I've got 9 other sales people that you can talk to. It's just like, talk about a non sequitur. Like, salespeople? I mean, sorry. I really like to believe in Roseburg Honda moving forward, and they still have their chance here. But like the idea of me buying another car from Roseburg Honda or anybody else at this point, but especially them, is like, it is fucking laughable, right? So, I got 9 other salespeople that you can talk to. Really? Well, that's great. How about, who do I talk to about the malicious, whatever is congruent with Stingray / IMEI catchers / cell site simulators being pre-installed in my car? Who can I talk to about that? Any of those salespeople? And if I talk to any of the salespeople, they're going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? I just sell cars. So somebody at Roseburg Honda needs to take a look at this and bring it to the attention of the, whatever, I don't know, executives, the people that write the checks. And yeah, but because this is a pretty big problem. I should not be alive. I should have been murdered pretty much 4 times over by now. I've gotten out of these horrifying situations. All right. And Alicia, in case it's not abundantly clear from watching this, Alicia's behavior and dodging me is 100% congruent with. She seems to know very, very clearly that I shouldn't be alive. Folks, that's not good. That is really bad. And so if I'm wrong, if I need to be corrected, then folks, I'm dying to stand corrected. Let me know how I've got it all wrong. By the way, why did Alicia leave the company? 2 days, day and a half, whatever it was. Like, after I, follow up with her and you have to understand at that point, she's going to have to answer those questions. If I get her on the phone even one time, she knows I'm going to have to stand there and answer those questions, or I'm going to have to, whatever, lie about them or whatever it is. And she doesn't want to do that. Not even once, not ever. Let's just let that resonate for a minute. Like, holy shit. Yes, that's it. So I'm going to post this video now. I'm going to send it to Roseburg Honda, any, whatever, service people, info, sales, you name it. And hopefully it'll get to the right people there. And I expect people at Roseburg Honda not to isolate this, all right, like it's been done so many times with it, with this investigation. Folks, be on the right side of it. If you're involved in it, then uninvolve yourself. All right, then raise your hand and say, I made a mistake. I'm going to fix it this way. Don't keep digging, digging a hole. If you're not involved in it, like I said, like any person is going to be jumping up and down, screaming their heads off, demonstrating that all the different ways that there's no way that they'd be involved in this, that they wouldn't stand for it, and they're going to make sure that this is rectified. In my situation, they stand by people who have had this experience, whether it's from a business or fellow citizen perspective. Take your pick, both of them, really. So this is pretty important to see how the folks at Roseburg Honda react.